Hi, guys. We are going to talk about the Look Like a Romantic Lesson assignment. In this assignment, you will ultimately create a poster either in Google Docs or in Google Slides where you are going to choose two lines of poetry that were featured in this module. And for each of those lines of poetry, you are going to provide a picture that you think best represents that quote. Now, this picture can either be hand drawn if you were very artistically inclined and you want to hand draw something, that's absolutely fine. Or if you are really good with like Photoshop or Paint or something like that, you can make a graphic image. Or if you're like me and you're not very artistic, you can go online and find your own images that you think best represent the two lines of poetry that you've chosen. Now, where do you find those lines of poetry? I would strongly recommend going to the Fireside Poets lesson in the Romantic Americans module. This is about the second or third lesson, and I think you guys will have great success finding a plethora of different poetry that you can pull examples from. So remember, you are choosing two lines of poetry that are featured in this module, and you're going to provide a picture that you think best represents each of those quotes or those lines of poetry. So the last thing you will do for this assignment is you're going to write a one paragraph, 4 sentences or so explanation of how your art that you've chosen portrays your chosen lines of poetry. So again, you can do this in a Google Doc or in a Google Slides presentation. I have a little Google Doc started here just for an example of how you can kind of lay this out and organize it. You can copy and paste your quote there and then do the image below it, or you can do the image above it, however you would like to organize it. And you'll do that for your second quote as well. And then down below at the bottom of your assignment, you'll want to write your paragraph. Now, remember, this can just be about 4 sentences, and you're really just explaining your choice of picture and why you think it represents your quote. So this can be literal, where you are literally describing images from the poetry. So, like, if we're talking about a fire, you might have a picture of a fire, something like that. Or it can be a little bit more figurative, where you might describe how it makes you feel. It can be a little bit more abstract there, right? I chose this poem, or I chose not this poem, but I chose this image because it makes me feel this when I read the poem, or it makes me, make this connection about this poem. This line of poetry maybe made me think something or remind me of something that happened in the past, and this image reminds me of that memory or something like that. Okay, so again, you can go literal with this, where you're literally choosing an image that represents what the poetry is talking about, or it can be a little bit more figurative or abstract, where you're describing how it makes you feel or what it reminds you of or something like that. But I need about 2 sentences for each of your selections there. So when you have finished your assignment, whether you're working in a Google Doc or you're working in Google Slides, please make sure you go up to the share button and make sure that your settings are set to services.live. If it's set to anything other than services.live, I might not have access to it. So once we have made sure that we are set to services.live, we are ready to submit our assignment.